What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Rebuttal Entertainment. Today we're gonna go live on this panel about what happened yesterday with the Judge Floyd verdict and the outcome of it and stuff like that. We got my man Light Skin Lou, we got Melinda Lawson and Tony Lane Kirby.
Tony.
So
Hey, hey.
let's start with Melinda. What do you think about the outcome yesterday of the
Well,
verdict?
with the outcome from yesterday, most people are saying that it's, justice and we're finally getting justice. It really isn't. He's just being held accountable for what he did. And more police officers need to be held accountable for their misbehavior. Not to say that all police officers misbehave, but the ones that are getting caught and we're fortunate enough to actually get them into the court system, they're not getting we're not getting the justice as some people want to say that they're we need justice. No, we need accountability. We need everybody to be held at the same standards that everybody else are held to, and most times police officers aren't held to that standard. Back in the day, police pull you over, they de-escalate. They had other things placed in. They'll put other stop gaps in place in order for them not to go across the line. But as the decades passed, it became less of a stopgap and a straight to punishment. So the system is not working because the system was set up, as they said, not for us, but it was set up so that we could be captured in a way, so to speak, and then we go to court and then get judged by 12 and then we receive our punishment. But now we are getting punished right on the spot, and that's not how it was set up for everyone else. However, for African Americans, it wasn't never set up for us because in the beginning, the police force started out as the people that retrieved the slaves that ran away. And now is not protect and serve us, but to contain us. So it's almost doing the same thing that they did during slavery, but we no longer have the worth that we had in slavery because they were less likely to injure, maim, or kill a slave because we were worth money to the plantation or to the master. But since now they don't feel like we're worth money to anybody else, they can execute us right then and there. And again, not saying all police, not saying all of the system don't work, but for the majority of the system, it's broken and needs to be fixed. So when they say defund the police, people get upset. It's more like we need to restructure the police and the legal system.
Okay. Lou, what you think about the verdict yesterday?
I mean, it was bittersweet for me actually as a black man. I felt I ain't gonna lie, man. I shed a few tears, man, because you know it's been a long time, man, coming. Because you look at all the cases before that, and you realize like they got away with murder, like just flat out murder. We had to sit there and eat it, man. Like at some time, what do you say? When do I get my justice? Like when do I get mine? So yesterday, I ain't answered no phone calls yesterday, man. I just was focused in on CNN to try to get an idea of which way this is going to go because at
Hmm.
some point I didn't realize nobody knew which way it was going to go. But all you had to go off was history of when there's a short deliberation with the jurors, it's going to come out in your favor. You're going to get conviction. So that's all I really had to go off of. But I was emotional, man, because finally we get some justice, man. This dude sat there and murdered somebody on live TV, man. You can say Facebook, and that's live TV.
Right.
Without that footage, we get nothing. All we get is the same old.
Hmm.
Well, their story against our story. Well, the victim story. But it was a lot of stuff. I was really emotional because for that young lady to stand there and take that to film that, and from what I understand, that the officer was kind of like threatening her to some degree. For her to stand there and stand up for what's right. You know, all these other people who stood there, you know, and stood was for right, what was right. It's emotional, man, because they didn't have to do that. But what they realized was that this is the right thing to do. We will take this no longer. And when I talked to you yesterday, Lord, you know, it was just like I was emotional, man, because we finally get justice.
Yeah.
Justice was served yesterday for this guy to get convicted on all three charges. That doesn't happen to us, man. And for that to happen, it was big, man. It was. So yeah, kudos to getting it right, man. Kudos.
Yeah. Yeah, it was real big. Tony, what you think about it?
For me, I was very surprised because most of the time, police officers are not held accountable for their actions, especially when it comes to Black people and people of color. Um, I'm still shocked at the verdict that was read, but I'm happy at the same time. Even though he is not here, his family got some sort of peace about themselves now. And I just hope that this is a wake up call, not only to the people who have had a family member killed wrongfully by a police officer, but people in general, that you, no matter if you are a police officer or someone who holds some type of authoritative position, you should be held accountable for your actions.
Yeah, you're right. You know, justice prevailed this time, but what about the past ones that it didn't? So hopefully we can get things a little bit better. But you know, we got like 8 weeks for the sentencing, and he can get up to 75 years. Melinda, what do you think going to happen? What do you think the verdict? How much time we going to get?
I'm optimistic, but cautiously optimistic because we often know that things could still go wrong at this end. He might still get less time than he should because it's going to be up to the judge. And we don't know what the judge's background or his preconceived notions about African Americans. You know, we haven't had a time to like research him. You know, prior to coming on camera, we talked about how you can mention something and say something, and then 20 years later be held accountable for something that you said when you was in a different frame of mind, different place. What I
Hmm.
have not seen so far was anybody addressing that if this judge in particular had any preconceived notions about Black people or Black men in particular, or police for that matter. So he can have the opinion that, you know, for the most part, police are correct in whatever they have to do to carry out their justice, as they put it. But what I wasn't happy with was how he admonished um, Miss Waters, Representative Waters. I
Hmm.
thought that he kind of muddied the water when he decided to say he wished politicians wouldn't, you know, address certain things or whatever. When for the last 4 years, without mentioning any names or any political affiliations, politicians have been addressing things that had nothing to do with them, and most of the time it's not even important things, but they've been addressing things that of no concern to them. Some even went to other people's states where other people were representatives and then spoke on what they should or should not be doing. So for those reasons, I'm optimistic, but I'm also cautious because he could give him the very minimum and anger everyone, and then we might still be back in the same place as if they had said not guilty, because it would be a
Hmm.
slap in the face where he could possibly get, you know, one of the charges was like 40 years, and then he ended up with 12.
Yeah.
And we're like, why? You know,
Yeah.
how did this happen? So for those reasons, I'm gonna just try to center myself because throughout this whole process, you know, it's been stressful. You know, I think we as a community have post traumatic stress because we saw this. You know, we got to see someone die on film, and we've lived this kind of life where we're cautious when we go out into certain areas and certain places because our lives can be taken away at any time through just regular street violence or through a pullover or going into the wrong neighborhood. So we already live with that kind of stress and energy. And then you compound it by the people that are supposed to protect and serve you treating you less than. So in addition to that trial, at the same time, multiple murders were happening. And I say murders because if the person had no weapons or no was no threat and you being killed, it's a murder. And we've seen that just before the verdict, another one happened.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're seeing this constantly and we're starting to fear for ourselves because even, during the pandemic, we had where and I'm trying to make it general so people can feel the issue and feel how we may feel. But during the pandemic, we had a trial of a young woman that was asleep in her own home, and her boyfriend was protecting her. Everybody can say her name, but to be clear and keep people on the line that I'm trying to put them into, she was asleep in her own bed, minding her business, got killed. Recently, we had a military. We're under the perception that, well, we were, and now it's clear that we're not. We were under the perception before that if we behave ourselves, we will not get killed. If we follow rules, we would not get killed. If we lived in certain neighborhoods, we would not get killed. And all of this has been proven wrong in the last few years. You know, as a recent, I'm affiliated with the military. I've been a military wife for 20 years. I felt some kind of comfort in that, some kind of safety in that. And just recently, it was proved that that's not even safe because they pulled over a military. He was a lieutenant. They pulled him over and treated him with no respect
Yep.
for no reason, pepper sprayed him and everything. I took kind of a safety. I felt like I was safe in my car because I had military tags and I have a military ID. And I'm affiliated with the military, and I do lots of work on the military post. And here it was, a lieutenant. None of that mattered. So it doesn't matter if your
Nope.
education. They tell you go to school, you get the respect. You don't get respect with your education because Lewis Gates got pulled over, not pulled over, but he was in his own house and he got detained by the police. So you see, it really doesn't matter. And this is what caused post-traumatic stress for Black
At your
people.
own house, though.
Post-traumatic stress
Yeah,
comes
just say that
in,
again. At your own house.
you're seeing things happen that are beyond your control and it's traumatic. It might not be my family that got killed, but I'm seeing it and I am making that connection that this could be me. Before with Sandra Bland, women were under the assumption that we're safe. They're only killing Black men. They're only, doing this to Black men. She made it crystal clear that women are not safe, men
Sure
are not
enough.
safe, and
Sure
children are
enough.
not safe. So that's where the post traumatic stress comes in with us. We cannot go outside or go into an area or drive down a certain road without thinking something can happen to me. And then in addition, you toss in a pandemic where you're already stressed about. And then I was watching CNN day by day by day, every day for the last 4 years because it was always something foolish that the government was doing, the politicians were doing. And I'm like, okay, so that was causing additional stress. So we're in a bad place, and we as Black people, we really do need therapy.
I totally agree. Lou, look, he facing 75 years, 40 years for unintentional murder, for third degree murder, 25 years, second degree manslaughter, 10 years. What you think going to happen in 8 weeks? You hear me, Lou? You must be frozen. Tony, go ahead and take that.
I, I would agree. I would agree.
Oh, okay. Lou, you freezing. We're gonna let Tony take it. Go ahead, Tony.
I honestly don't believe he's going to serve the maximum at all. I think he's going to get the bare minimum, and that might be 10 years at the most. Um, I think that they are going to make him like an example, so to speak, because the jury did come down with a guilty verdict, but I don't think he's going to serve the full sentence that he's supposed to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was listening to the news earlier today, they were saying that because he's already served some time already, they took him immediately back to the jail. Um, he'll probably do whatever he has to do for good behavior so he can get out sooner. But I don't believe if he is given the maximum sentence, I don't think he's going to make it to his maximum sentence. I believe he's either going to commit suicide or someone's going to kill him in jail. That's what I feel.
Well, my personal opinion, I think he ain't gonna make it. The way he was looking, I think a guy like him, he gonna commit suicide and leave it at that, leave everything in limbo. You know, cowards like that, that's all they do anyway. You know, I don't think he's gonna do the whole 75, 40, 10, 5 years or whatever. I think he's gonna commit suicide. That's just my personal opinion. But I don't know. You never know. He, like you said, he might not make it. The see 5 months. You know what I mean? You might not make it, but we're gonna see if he make it or not. You know, but Lou, did you hear the question I asked?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he's gonna. I was listening to the young ladies there. Same thing I feel. Same way I feel. I don't think he's gonna serve the full time. And all honesty, I think he's gonna commit suicide. I really do. I don't know if that's sound like that's off the charts or whatever what we're talking about, but I just feel like with the weight of the world, because you got to understand, this thing went global. Just think about what his family's going through, and he's thinking about this. I put my family through this. His family is like public enemy number one. Anything that touches him or anything that was a part of him, people is going to think negative of. So that's a lot of pressure for him to have to deal with. So for me, I just feel like he's going to commit suicide. I just feel that way, and I don't think he's going to, like, far technically, I don't think he's going to get the full time. I just don't. I think he's probably going to end up with like 20 years, probably 15 to 20 years. That's just what I think. Do I think it's fair? No, but you got to look at the message that's sent. The message is sent. You can't do this. It can't be done. I think, for a long time, with all this, with all of the deaths that was going on, you gotta, not one time did I feel like this is gonna stop. Right now, I just feel like it's gonna stop right now because of the sentences that he was convicted on all 3 charges. And I think that sends a message. That's what I was hoping for. I just feel like I'm not in a, celebrating mood, because I do know that there's still a lot of work to be done. I won't be happy until these lawmakers change these laws and put these, start holding people accountable like they're doing now on a consistent basis. I don't feel like it's going to change until then.
Yeah, you're right about that. But
Yeah.
Melinda, the other 3 police officers, they next. They go to trial in August. So
Yeah,
what should we think about that, Melinda?
I think justice might not have, or accountability might not be as swift for them because they were bystanders. And I think they're gonna separate their actions from Chauvin's actions simply because he was the one with the knee. And the whole case was predicated on he murdered his knee. He didn't. So and they don't have a rule now. The other day I looked on CNN and I don't remember what the sister's name was, but she was a prior police officer that she got involved with the police that was choking an African American man, and she told him, hey, get off him. She had actions taken against her. She lost her job, she lost her pension. She just recently, after fighting for 15 years, got her pension back. And she put forth in Congress act that if you're a police officer, you're supposed to intervene. It's not written in their, for lack of a better word, in their job description doesn't say that they as an officer have to intervene with another officer. That's what she's trying to get past. And if that gets passed, yes, that's all well and good, but it's not going to get passed before these 3 officers go on trial. So at this point, as we stand, is not their responsibility, even though it's what a human being would do. But right now, it's not another officer's responsibility to check his other officers for doing things that they're not supposed to do. So technically, they did nothing wrong. They did something inhumane to just stand there and not try to intercede when someone was losing their lives. But they didn't do technically anything illegal according to the law. So they may not get again, they were strictly trying this man for murder because he had the knee on the neck, and they kept talking about the knee and the neck and the timing and how he didn't let other people assist. So that was not the case with the others. No one else had a knee in his neck. They might have restrained him, but then when he was under control or contained, they stopped doing what they was doing, and they stood away, and they can just say, hey, all we was doing is traffic control. So I don't think we're going to get the same accountability or justice that we're seeking with the other 3. Now, will they maybe get some time? Maybe. But it may be they might get months in jail or maybe a year or 2, but they're not going to get the amount that this person, because it's not even a man kind of thing to sit there and snuff out someone's life just because you have the ability to do so. So I don't think the 3 others are going to get, and they may be acquitted. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a problem unless they decide to make an example out of them, and people push for this law that this lady is trying to put forth about other officers being accountable when another officer behaves badly. So until that happens, no, they may not get the time or the punishment that we as a community feel like they should get.
Well, let me tell you what they're being charged with. They're being charged with aiding and abetting, second-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. So they're being charged with serious crimes, and I think they're gonna get some time. I don't think they're gonna get away with it. It might not be 75, 40 years. It might be 5 years, 3 years. You know what I mean? But I think they all gonna get some time. You know what I mean? So Tony, what do you think about that?
I think a lot of times police officers, if they are with a senior officer, they just follow whatever's going on because they're afraid to step to a superior, so to speak. So they could probably serve 5 years. I don't know what the minimum is for that type of charge, but they could also say that they were only going by what Chauvin was doing because they were afraid because he was their superior. Are they in jail right now?
No, I think they're all out.
Okay.
Okay. I think I ain't too sure.
Okay.
But you're right. I think they're all gonna do time. I think they're all gonna do time. Like Melinda said, I think they're gonna make an example out of them. You know what I mean? I think they're really gonna make a big example out of these. We can't tolerate that bullshit that they did. No more kneeling on people's necks and 10 minutes and 20 minutes, whatever the fuck it was. You know what I mean? All that stuff needs to stop. But for me, for all to stop, you need to start taking their pensions, putting them in jail. You know, once you start taking their pensions, they really going to start looking behind and say, well, hey, look, we can't afford to lose our pension. Then that will make them think twice about the situation. You know what I mean? But now that all that done for George Floyd, what's next? A lot of other shit done happened. You know what I mean? We just had a young lady just now got shot 4 times in the back. You know what I mean? Even though she had a gun, I mean, even though she had a knife, I mean, one time drop the knife, pull your taser out, shoot him. I understand he had to make a split-second decision, but every four shots.
To the chest.
What do you think, Melinda?
I think that was atrocious. First of all, she called the police because she was getting jumped. You have a right to defend yourself, whichever. And in that situation, from what I understand from the information I got so far, she was defending herself from 2 other people trying to jump her. Secondly, he came out of the car shooting. He did not de-escalate the situation in any kind of way. He didn't try to say drop the knife in any kind of way. I didn't hear that anywhere in the situation, because that might have made her change the whole thing of what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But all he did was he stepped out of the car and shot 4 kill shots.
No, I think when he stepped
leg.
out the car, he said stop, stop. He got closer, then he shot.
Okay. So, but he did 4 kill shots.
Yes.
Not in the leg or not somewhere else. They train all day. They train all day. You know, they go to the range and they learn how to shoot in different places. Yes, they learn kill shots for when it's necessary for a kill shot. But I find it difficult when somebody brings a gun to a knife fight. I find it difficult when people with automatic weapons that have just killed people are taken in without incident.
Mm-hmm.
And then when our children make mistakes, they get murdered on the spot. Whether, there was a case, I think a week ago where and I think he was a man of color, but he was Hispanic, I believe. And he did have a gun, but when they told him drop the gun, he dropped it. So at the time when he was shot, his hands were up and he had no weapon in him, in his hands, and he was still shot. So I have a problem with them not respecting our children as children. I have a problem with, somebody coming onto the scene that is not in imminent danger and doing kill shots, versus when you go on the scene and there's a young man with a rifle, an assault weapon, and you can de-escalate and calm them down. I've seen suspects chase police officers around the car and they're still apprehended without incident. So I have a problem when our children, whatever mistakes they made at that moment, are always shot and killed. It's never oh, they were wounded or we took them in or whatever. They have this young man, Rittenhouse, where he went to a peaceful protest and shot people. They apprehended him without incident. And then it was found that later on, a top police official that has been, fired,
donated,
contributed to his defense fund. So these are the things that are happening that we're having to take in as a people and say, well, they were more of a threat than this person. They done shot 10 people. This person didn't shoot anybody. This person didn't kill anybody. But here they are on a morgue slab. And they're underage and no one is saying anything. I have a problem with how our children are perceived to be more mature than they actually are. And I have a problem with how our children are not able to make mistakes and recover from them. So, yes, whatever they're talking about, it's past me, it's beyond me. Again, we have post-traumatic stress from all these things happening, because when I see a 15-year-old, I'm like, oh, that's a baby.
Yep.
My daughter is 24 and I'm still like, oh, she's a baby. Mm-hmm. I could not start to feel how the other person would feel, another mother or father would feel when they're a baby. And they're still, because even the young man that just got killed the other day by the officer, he was a baby. He was 20, but to me, he's a baby. My
Mhm.
daughter is 24. She's a baby. And he ran because he was afraid.
Mhm.
Because he has post-traumatic stress from watching all summer other people getting killed by police without doing
Exactly.
anything.
Exactly.
I don't know how I would feel as an adult. I seen a Facebook post just recently where they have a picture of a police in the rearview mirror and it says American Horror Story. That is a fact for us because anytime we see blue lights and flashing lights, we get nervous. Anytime we see police walking up from the rear of our car to our window, we get nervous. We're like, what should we do? How do we behave? What will he want me to do? Will it be offensive if I put my hands on the wheel so that he comes and get offended and like, I ain't trying to shoot you. You don't know the aggression that's about to happen to you when you see a police officer, and that should not be the way. And Lewis, that we grew up in a school that had the police academy. So we have friends that are police officers, and I pray for them all the time. I'm like, please don't let them be in danger. And we know to be a fact that they're not those kind of people, but there are so many that are.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel, kind of sad that I would have to speak out on a police issue because in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, how does my police friend feel about what I said? Is he affected by that? And then also knowing that that police friend is a black man that has to go through this stuff if their police uniform is not on. And
Yeah.
sometimes when their police uniform is on, because we had cases where there was that black police officer that was not on duty, was shot by another police officer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember that
without
one.
the uniform, we are still perceived the same.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see more post-traumatic stress that we are not safe no matter what we do. If we
Exactly.
are part of their
Yeah.
blue lives, we're not safe. If we're not part of the blue lives, we're not safe. If we live in a good neighborhood, we're not safe. If we have a high education, we're not safe. How do you maneuver in this world and still be professional, still be productive, and not live on mental health disability?
Yeah.
Because we are not mentally well having to deal with this stuff all the time. We are surviving in spite of, we are thriving in spite of, but we're not mentally well. You can't be after you see night after night, day after day, us getting killed. Even we killing ourselves. Let's put that aside because the term black on black crime get on my last nerve. It really do. Because it's just crime. It's crime of opportunity. If we was around somewhere else, those people would kill other people. But they are around a certain segment of people. You commit crimes in your comfort zone. White
But
people commit crimes in their comfort zone. So
since you
that's
brought
black.
that excuse me, since you brought that Blue Lives Matter up, when the police officer shot the young lady 4 times in the back,
I heard.
that was still rolling. They were saying Blue Lives Matter and they got it on tape. So they really don't care. They ain't learned their lesson yet. So Tony, what's next? What do you think about that situation?
It's heartbreaking to say the least. I saw the video footage released from the body camera today. It's on YouTube, and there's so many different stories. One, I did hear the girl did call and ask for help because they were going to gang her. Another person had stated that she was having trouble in foster care with some other girls. So I don't know if those were the same girls who were there to attack her. But the bottom line is the police officer could have de-escalated the situation in a different manner.
In a split second?
Well, I mean, did you all see the video?
Yeah.
The video that I saw, I didn't know who was the person with the knife until the knife flew up in the air. So the fact of the matter is, I think if he could have used a taser, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It was a knife that she had. It wasn't a gun. So
Mm-hmm.
even if he got slashed on his hand or something, he
Mm-hmm.
still had the upper hand by having a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Their first thought is to kill us, not to
Mm-hmm.
even give us an opportunity to answer questions, or come back from it and say, hey, I'm sorry, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but this person was about to attack me or do whatever. It's always like Melinda said, our kids are the ones who are killed. Our kids are the ones who are the bad guys. Our kids are the ones who you shoot first, and then we'll get the evidence later as to what happened, and then they bring up all this bad information. I don't care if the person had a crime, from 5-10 years ago. The fact of the matter is, all lives should matter. I'm sick of the white people who say all lives matter. No, Black lives need to matter before you say all lives matter. You hold a dog's life in the balance more so than a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. This country is just horrible how they treat people, Black people, people
Mm-hmm.
of color. It's ridiculous. And I believe it got worse when the other administration was in office. And I don't think we'll ever bounce back from that.
Yeah, you know what I always tell you, this world going to hell. Go enjoy your life. Shit is just happening too much now, all these shooting and stuff like that. But I don't know, devil advocate, the police might have could have, because he was close enough to, because if you look at the video, he was close enough to that young lady. He could have ran up to her, shot her or grabbed her or something
Mm-hmm.
before she did real harm to the young lady. But it's a split second decision. But if he was that close, he could have grabbed her. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? 'Cause he shot a point blank range, and the other girl was right in front of her.
yeah,
So you know what I mean. But there's a lot of situations we can go to, because it was just something online when police pulled the guy in the white truck over. The white man told him, "I have a gun right here," and they tried to get him to get out the car. He wouldn't get out the car. He had a dog in the back seat. He said, and the police said, "Watch your dog. I'm gonna shoot your dog." And the white man said, the guy said, "You shoot my dog, I'm going to kill you." And the police said, "Get out the car, get out the car." He just sped off while they was on the car. So different standards. If that was one of us, I truly believe would have been shot.
mm-hmm.
So what's next with the it's so much stuff going on in this world. It's just crazy, man. Was it Kim Potter? That's her name. The one that shot Dante Wright with the taser, and said she thought it was, shot her with the gun and said it was a taser. Melinda, what do you think about that situation? Because they're going to come up.
I call bullshit. We can't say that on here, right?
Yeah, say whatever you want. My channel, you curse all day long.
Here's the thing with that. There are different weights, different colors, and she has to reach over body. Because I'm almost a forensic expert right now from watching so much CNN. She has to reach over body because they don't put that on your dominant hand. And she's a right-hander, so her weapon, her issued weapon is on her right hand, taser is on the left. She has to reach over. So she had to know that wasn't a taser. That was, I feel, opinion only. That was premeditated. She intended to shoot and kill him. So that's why she hollered out taser, taser, taser. She's a 20-year veteran and they train often. And she has to know the difference in weight between taser and gun. So
Exactly.
no,
You
I
gotta know
don't
the weight. You
believe.
gotta know the weight. It's totally different.
I don't believe, and then she wasn't even the person to first approach him. So she came out of nowhere, got involved, and now she's gonna catch a charge because don't nobody believe that she, white people are not believing that that was an accident, and she's gonna have to pay for that. There's no way she's not gonna pay for that in any kind. She's gonna lose her job. She tried to quit her job so that she wouldn't have to get fired, but that's not gonna work neither. She murdered that man. That young man, that 20-year-old man that had his whole life ahead of him, didn't do anything. That was his car. He was just afraid. And after seeing all of the stuff that happened, and I keep yelling post-traumatic stress, but he's been seeing murder after murder after murder for the last 2 years since we've been in pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes some police officers and asking him questions and harassing him on his way home. His mother said he was on the way home from the car wash. Mm-hmm. He coming home. They're like, get out, get out. And the way they was tussling him and jostling him and everything else, he decided to drive off. They decided to kill him. Because sometimes I believe that they feel like the audacity for you to do anything other than what I tell you is enough for you to get killed. Yeah. Some. I keep prefacing with some, because like again, I'm walking the line of not offending my friends that are police officers, but trying to also tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally understand. Tony, what you think?
Yeah, I believe it was a premeditated thing for her as well. I had an argument with somebody not long ago about the weight of a gun versus the weight of a taser. There's no comparison to the two. And the fact of the matter is, I don't care if you detained him, so to speak. He did nothing wrong. And for you to pull him over for a something around his rearview mirror, when was that a crime? When has that become a crime? And you ran his tags and you found out that his tags were expired. Again, it shouldn't, the situation should not have escalated to the point where he had to run and you shot him like that. Mm-hmm. The girlfriend even said that, he had no gun. There was nothing wrong, but you still chose to kill him. Mm-hmm. She's probably going to just say whatever, she's under stress or whatever. She's probably not going to serve her full time either, but she's going to use, I was under stress, I feared for my life, whatever they do, because we are so to be afraid of, you know what I mean? So I just feel like she quit her job just so she could save face.
Mm-hmm. Well, the law states, I think the law is, you can't have no air freshener or nothing hanging over your rearview mirror now. And the shit, that was petty. To pull them over, that's what they do now. They pull your ass over for petty stuff just to get confrontational or see what you got in the car. They need an excuse. Don't give them no excuse. You know what I mean? I tell people now that I talk to, like, ask me, Lou, you want to tint your windows real dark? Nah, for what? This is different America. You know what I mean? I'll get the same regular tint, no more pitch black tints and all that. You know what I mean? Knowledge is power. You see how things going. You got to stop the bullshit. You know what I mean? Because they're going to pull you over. Mm-hmm. They need a reason to do what they're doing. They will find something. You know what I mean? Stop at the stop sign, because you don't. They right there. They're going to pull you over for that. You know what I mean? And when you go out of town, like I do all the time, you know what I mean? They be right behind me. They run. I tell you, they run my license plate all the time. You know what I mean? Now they probably be like, send more cops. I don't know, because they run my tag. I got all this bull crap on there, but that's what they do. So us as African Americans, we gotta start, trying to just do any little thing not to have them follow us. Like, all right, we know you can't have stuff in the rearview mirror no more. Take the shit down. You know what I mean? The tint's real pitch black. That's up to you. If you want it pitch black, it's against the law. Expect to get, especially out of Virginia, especially get pulled over. I remember a long time ago in my BMW. You couldn't even see in my car. Man pulled me over. He went and got a tint meter, put the tint meter on there. It said, he actually went to the car, got a scraper, and started scraping my window. He scraped the tint off my window. But you know what I did? Because I ain't say nothing. I was going to put it right back on there the next day. So it didn't matter to me, but I didn't get confrontational. You know what I mean? We got to start just avoiding the bullshit. But even when you avoid it, like Judge Floyd, it still don't matter. You know what I mean? He's on the ground with his hands out. They still putting, knee on his neck. So damn you do, damn you don't. We just got to, try to survive. I hate to say it, it's a damn shame. You got to try to survive. Go ahead, Melinda.
But we as taxpayers have a reasonable understanding that we're supposed to be protected too, and we're not supposed to be harassed. Yes, as you said, don't do stuff that's illegal. Don't put yourself in that position. But those things are things that you should get a ticket for.
Exactly.
Not lose your life for.
That's
Not be
back in the
talked
days, though.
disrespectfully for.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to live in a situation where I can't do anything in the hopes of I got to lower the my luxury car because it might be a target because they're thinking you're not supposed to have a Mercedes. I paid for one.
Mm-hmm.
But here's somebody, I'm riding through, whose car is this? People get those kind of pullovers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to check your license. I want to see if this is your car. We pay their salaries. And hiding because I pay more taxes than I feel like I should. And why am I having to creep around and be reserved and worry about how I present myself to somebody? Because that guy that was the military officer, he didn't do anything wrong. They pulled him over because they thought he didn't have tags. His tag was affixed to the back of his truck.
Mm-hmm.
They could have got out of the car because they come from behind to the front of the car. They always approach from behind to the front. So when they went from behind, they probably clearly saw that he had the tags there, but still insisted on harassing him and telling him to get out of his car. There was nothing for him to get out of his car for. Nothing that he did in his behavior said that he needed to get out of the car. And it only said that he needed to give license and registration if that's what they wanted and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, get out of your car. They was being combative, and he was trying to be as calm as he possibly could. But all of that stemmed from this black man had a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And they was going to pull him over, and they was going to use that they didn't see his tag. And that should have been an issue in itself that you are supposed to, in essence, when a police officer is on the scene, he's an investigator. And if you can't do the minimum as to look behind the car to see if there are plates there, then we have a major problem with you and you need not to be on the force. If you're foolish enough to not just go and see what you're about to talk to this man about and make sure that you are correct in that, that's a problem. And then he went on to try to say that he could ruin his career if he wanted to.
Yeah.
They disrespectful and we have to pay them.
Yep.
And then when they do stuff wrong, and then we're found to be in the right, and whether we're dead or alive, and we get a payment, all of us black people that are getting abused is also paying for that lawsuit because this police officer was inhumane and did something unjustly to somebody of color. And then all of us colored people have to participate in paying for his misunderstandings, as they like to say. Well, I had a misunderstanding, or I was scared for my life, or whatever. So we have to pay for their fear in addition to paying with our lives.
Exactly.
Because and it's even deeper than that, because if you think about it, this officer killed George Floyd. Yes, his family got a settlement, certain sections of his family, but at the end of the day, his other family, and when they get that settlement, other members of his family is also paying in with taxes to pay for that mistake. So they're double paying.
Yep.
Exactly, man. It's like we damn if we do, we damn if we don't. We obey, we don't obey. It's still gonna be consequences with them. You know what I mean? Not all of them, but with most of them. You know what I mean? Cause it's like they scared of black folk, black men, and they're gonna do whatever they can in their power to harass you and kill you. And that's the way of the world changing now. Like Tony said, I think Trump brought them all out. He brought them all out in the woodwork. They feel they can do anything now. But now, if you look, the last two killings have been black people, though. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Everything is going on in this world the world, like I said, the world has just gone to shit. And hopefully we can just wind it back, get things back the way it was. But It's gonna be a long, long process, man. So, anybody got anything final to say about the situation? What's going on?
I just feel like we as Black people have to start taking better care of ourselves mentally, because mental illness is real, and a lot of times we are afraid to express what we're feeling, or even going to seek help.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, you don't realize being in this pandemic has really affected a lot of people in a different in ways that you could not imagine. I remember last year I was feeling like I was getting depressed. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to do anything, even though we couldn't really go anywhere and do anything. I just needed to go for a drive just to change my surroundings and my environment. And it did a world of good for me. So people need to realize, staying in tune to this television all day long, whether you're working from home or not, looking at the violence that's going on, it's going to play on your mind. And you have to learn how to turn away from certain things and focus on things that give you joy. And if that's calling a friend, or doing a Zoom call and do a happy hour with your friends or loved ones, whatever's going to make you happy and get out of that depression that you're starting to set in, you got to do what's right to make your mind better.
Melinda?
I think that we need to start taking care of each other better. Mental health is real. We need to start checking in on each other because, like you said, we're alone and isolated, because of the pandemic. We can't hang out. But what I do, I try to do on a regular is to have conversations with my friends. I call in because I'm a mental health specialist. I deal with grief, death, dying, and bereavement. And because I know the residual effect of isolation and the stuff that's going on now, I check in on my friends, especially the vulnerable ones that already might have had, because I like, again, I'm affiliated with the military. So I check in on my prior military friends because they might be going through it a little bit more, because prior to all this happening, prior to the pandemic, they might have already had post-traumatic stress from their service, and also the police officers members too. And incidentally, a lot of the police officers are prior military. So they have two things going on. They got the police force struggles, stress, and trauma, and they have the military struggle, stress, and trauma, because we don't know what they had to do while they were in the military. And of course, as Black people, they're the number one people on the line
Mm-hmm.
or in places of danger. So they have that stuff going on. And then they have also the stress of every day being a Black man with these two stressful positions that they held all their lives. And then they have the way that people are perceiving them because they are police officers. And we have a negative connotation with police officers, justly so. From what we're seeing and hearing on a regular basis, we feel some kind of way and we put them all in a box. So then here are the innocent ones, the ones that are actually still going through stuff, and we're like, you're the cause of all our problems, adding additional problems. So not just them, but I also say let's look out for our service members and our police officers, because they already have some segments in their lives where they places in their lives where they had a traumatic event where they might have seen someone die overseas or during a war situation. They were in a war situation. They were hurt in a war situation, and then they were struggling with those issues. The health problems that come from serving the military it weighs on them. And then here's some additional stuff. So check in on your military friends, check in on your police officers, your armed forces members, all of it. And then your regular friends too, because they have day-to-day issues. And I can't I would be safe to say that I don't think there's any of us that didn't have some kind of situation with a police officer, either positive or negative. I've had some positive situations where, because I was born and raised in my mind, because born and raised in Compton. But I was born in Panama, but raised in San Diego for the most part. And we have this thing called a California stop, where you really don't stop all the way. You kind of go slow, and then you kind of roll out. And I was stopped because I live in a military community area, and I was stopped by military police, and it was like, did you know that you did not stop at that light? And I was like, I'm not gonna say nothing. And that's another thing. You don't have to admit that you did wrong.
Right.
Because sometimes they don't know you did wrong. They're fishing. So when they come and ask you, do you know what you did wrong? You're telling on yourself because they might not have saw it.
First 48.
Yeah.
Telling on yourself.
So I said nothing. I was like, what happened? And he was like, you did a California roll. And I just smiled, and he was like, I'm gonna give you a warning. And he let me go. Then again, one time I got pulled over and I did nothing wrong. And they said I was texting while driving. And I was like, I was not. And he said I was. And I said, you can check my phone for the period that you said you seen me. I can't check your phone. I said, you can if I give you permission to. He refused because he wanted to give me a ticket and he wanted to hassle me. So when I went to court, and it was $110 ticket, I was like, and I told him straight out, I'm not paying this. And I felt, and he was one of those officers that we see because he wanted a confrontation. And if it wasn't for a certain thing, my husband was on the phone at the time. And my husband was like, oh, he's just trying to be in. He was like, trying to be at what? Trying to be at what? I was like, what, you going to arrest the phone? Because he's not even in the car. And I felt comfortable talking back because I was on a military post. And I felt comfortable because there's but so much he can do on that post. And I have military tags on my car. And not only that, I worked a little bit down the road from where he pulled me over, where I did the welcome to the military briefs, and I counseled soldiers going away to war. So I was like waiting for him to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not paying for this. So months later, when I went to court, he was like, I said, I'll see you in court. Months later, when I went to court, what I did prior to going to court is I recorded how I could make a whole phone call on my car without touching my phone. I used my tablet to record it because you can speak all that stuff. And they were like, why are you even here? I said, I don't know. And they dismissed the whole thing. But in my mind, I was still mad because I was like, I paid $7 for parking. But my point is that you don't know who you're coming up on. It could be that one that lets you go with a warning. Oh, there's another police situation that I thought was funny. I was on the military post and I was bringing home a friend, and we was both picking up our kids from the daycare on post. And this officer pulled us up, and it was like starting to get dark. And he pulled us up, and he was like, "Do you know your lights are out in the back?" And I said, "Oh, really?" And then I looked in my rearview mirror, and he had a light out, and I was like, "Your light out too." And so he gave me a written warning, and he was like, "We'll fix it." And he laughed about it, and he went back to his car. But yeah, I was like, "Your lights out too." So
we don't know. It depends on what mood they be in. Sometimes good, bad mood and stuff like that. But we still gotta be vigilant, check on each other and stuff like that. But I think everybody's coming on a platform, and y'all know whenever y'all want to, y'all can come on in here and platform and talk all day about whatever you want. But we still got things coming up about to start a platform. I don't know if it's gonna be every Tuesday or every Wednesday, but it's gonna be about different shit. It's gonna be about important stuff like me and you talked about, Melinda, about people who had surgeries, post surgeries, who want to share their knowledge about things that they went through, because people might be scared to go through the situation or they don't know what to say about it. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have a lot of people on the panel that have, maybe breast surgery, cancer, going through chemo, hysterectomy. So we about to start that. I don't know if they're gonna be on Tuesday or when. We're gonna have that platform, and we're also gonna have a platform on here with people who have their own business. Want to share their business, talk to the people, tell them where they at, tell them what they doing, and hey, sell yourself. Because knowledge is power. let people know what you're doing. So I'm use this platform to do whatever people want me to do to help them, strive and succeed. Because if you don't help yourself, who gonna help you?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I thank you guys for coming on. And like I always say, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for having us.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having us.
All right, thanks for coming. Lou might have went and got his glasses, Tony. I don't know. We'll have to see.
He kept being frozen too, so who knows what was going on.
I'm gonna get on him, but you see how he talk. He know his shit. So
yeah, he does. He does.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for coming on.
See you later.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye-bye.